We all make choices every day. Should we do the laundry or keep wearing the same dirty sweatshirt that we've had on since quarantine began? Should we start working on our assignments or keep binge watching Netflix? These choices, though small, are part of what makes being an adult so great. If you were faced with the biggest choice in your life or death, wouldn't you want to be able to make that choice? Hello, my name is Mackenzie Richards, and today I will share why assisted suicide should be legal. To begin, I will go over what assisted suicide is, why assisted suicide should be legal, where assisted suicide is already legal, and my personal connections with tragedy. At this point, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Kenzie, what is assisted suicide? The death with dignity law allows terminally ill adults to voluntarily receive prescription medication administered by a healthcare professional to help in one's life-ending choice. Terminal illness refers to a disease with no cure that will inevitably result in death. So to be eligible for this, you must be 18 years old, at least 18 years old, provide documentation providing your residency, and to start the entire process, you first will meet with your physician. You will request an oral meeting with your physician, who will discuss with you life-ending options. In this meeting, your physician will confirm that you are terminally ill, at least 18 years old, and a resident of a state where assisted suicide is legal. You must then meet with a second physician who will also confirm that you are eligible in all the ways mentioned before. You then have to follow up with a written request. You have to have two witnesses, one of whom is not a relative and not eligible to collect on any of your estate after your passing. If you are accepted, your physician will begin the process for receiving your life-ending medication. Certain states will also require a court ruling on top of the previously mentioned steps. So during this entire process, you are 100% able to rescind your wishes at any time. If you decide you don't want to go through with it, you don't have to. The Death with Dignity Act protects your life insurance benefits and policy, which is not the case if you commit suicide illegally. So this means that all of your benefits that you work so hard for your entire life will be protected. A study conducted by the College of Family Physicians in Canada interviewed terminally ill patients on their perspectives with assisted suicide. Two of the most important reasons that they reported were disease-related symptoms and loss of enjoyment. The next reason was fear for future suffering. So when you're diagnosed with a terminal illness, you're faced with the reality of an impending death and the inability to enjoy your life to the fullest. Where is assisted suicide legal? Well, there are already many places that offer assisted suicide as legal options for terminal illness and terminal diseases. So some of those places in the United States include California, Colorado, Maine, Oregon, New Jersey, Washington, and some others. Oregon was the first state in the United States to legalize assisted suicide, and they legalized it in 1997. So assisted suicide is also legal in other countries like Colombia, Switzerland, Canada, Belgium, and many others. Throughout my life, I personally have witnessed suffering and turmoil of some of the most amazing people I will ever know. My grandmother was the most amazing person. She was energetic, she was happy, she loved life, she was extremely healthy. She was one of the most positive people I've ever known. She was honestly a blessing in everyone's life. Unfortunately, she was diagnosed with breast cancer at a very young age, which quickly spread through her lymph nodes. When the cancer made its way through her lymph nodes, it transformed into an incurable blood cancer called lymphnodic leukemia. Over her diagnosis, I watched her undergo countless chemotherapy sessions and radiation to her brain. And after the radiation to her brain, she was never exactly the same person, and she was constantly on medication, and she was constantly in so much pain. So my grandfather finally made the decision to let her go. and the happiest that any of us saw her was just a few days before she passed away. She wasn't loopy from her medication. She was fully aware of what was going on. She was laughing, joking around, and being herself with her grandchildren one more time. And it made us all happy for her. Unfortunately, my grandfather was also diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. Now, my grandfather was a businessman. He was very serious, very driven. He had an amazing brain. And I watched the early onset Alzheimer's rip him apart from the inside out. I watched the smartest man I had ever met in my entire life struggle every single day. He couldn't live alone, he couldn't drive a car, he couldn't even leave his home without a nurse. My grandfather began regressing in his memory so much that I had to watch him relive the passing of his soulmate every single day, which was heartbreaking for me, and I can only begin to imagine what he was going through. He was eventually forced into a high-security prison mental hospital wing because he was too much of a flight risk to be anywhere else. No other assisted living facilities were able to care for him any longer. So after watching my grandfather, I decided to have a genetic test done to see if I'm a carrier for the early onset Alzheimer's disease. My test came back positive, which made me become a much healthier person. But these results also influenced me to make a really big decision in my life. I decided to make a living will. In my living will, I stated that I would like to have the ability to choose when and how I pass instead of letting a disease destroy me. Left me to my conclusion today, which is that I believe we all have the right to make decisions for ourselves, no matter what they are, and especially when faced with a terminal illness.